from Bentley's point of view, it's an ideal place to be able to showcase the car, and obviously the GT is a proper GT car. So I think that it's going to be exciting times.
Well, I wish you all the best with that, and you're welcome to come to the orgy anytime you want, obviously. Just keep your hands in your pockets. Or warm them up first, that's all I'm saying. Mike, I don't know how you've got him, really. I mean, let's have a quick word with Mike here from Bentley before we go. Exciting times. I don't know why you've kept him on all these years. 10 years you had the chance to get rid of him, to be honest.
I don't know why either, to be honest. He is a pain, but you know, he's a good driver at heart, and we still like him.
And it's been a bold decision by Bentley to take this project on. It's well known that the car you've chosen is quite big. It's in road trim, quite a heavy car, because it's a very luxurious car, and therefore it's had to have a lot of work done on it. And you've kind of done that partially in-house, but partially using a set of guys who aren't sports cars orientated. I mean, I know Malcolm very well. He's much more from the rally world.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about it, you know, rally cars are extreme endurance cars. You know, they're tested to the point of destruction, and they have to work in incredible conditions for a long length of time. And these are attributes that you know, endurance GT3 races need as well. So we're delighted to be working with M Sport. Their qualities are the same as ours, and they've done a superb job. As you say, we're running the project from Bentley and crew. We have engineers there. We have engineers at M Sport there working together, and the car is looking fantastic, and we'll be able to show it to you very soon.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. This is the car racing. We loved it when you were here in the early 2000s, and there's definitely a place for Bentley here. Clearly the history demands almost that you come back here, and I think the fans would say that as well.
I think you're absolutely right, and yeah, never say never.
Okay, thanks Mike, and thanks for bringing Smithy. He's always good. I'm going to drag him into a car at the end of the year when we go on for a 6-hour race at Donington Park, so he's going to come and do that. He doesn't know that yet.
You're a brave man then, aren't you?
Oh, he's smiling, he's nodding, he's in. That's good. You're listening to 91.2 FM. This is Radio Le Mans around the world at radiolemans.com, 91.2 around the track. Sirius channel 111 and XM channel 203.
And
now I've just been handed a piece of paper that says as follows. I'm going to read this as it's written in front of me. At 15:09 hours Central European Time, the number 95 Aston Martin Vantage GTE, driven by Allan Simonsen of Denmark, exited the track at high speed at Tete Rouge on his 4th lap of the race. The driver was immediately attended on the scene by doctors from the Automobile Club de l'Ouest's medical service, and in a serious condition, Allan Simonsen was transferred immediately to the Circuit Medical Centre, where he died soon after due to his injuries. Allan Simonsen's family have been informed immediately by David Richards, principal of the Aston Martin racing team. Allan Simonsen, an experienced driver aged 34, had taken part in 7 24 Hours Du Mans. His teammate in the number 95 car was his fellow countrymen Christopher Nygaard and Christian Poulsen. The Automobile Club de l'Ouest wishes to express its great sadness following this incident and extends its deepest condolences to the family and to those close to Allan Simonsen. The Automobile Club de l'Ouest will make no further statement while the exact reasons for the accident are still being wholly determined. And of course we echo all of those sentiments here at radiolemans.com. So the sad news then, that earlier on this afternoon, after that accident at just after 1500, just in the 4th lap of the race, Allan Simonsen, driving the Aston Martin, has succumbed to his injury and has died here in the Circuit Medical Centre.
Dreadful news. Back at the race, sort of difficult to concentrate, but Alan McNish, I was about to say, depending on whether he's on low grip engine map or whether he's on full speed, will be coming in at the end of lap 44, I think, or possibly lap 45. As I say, that's just depending on how long a stint he does, and again, we're expecting Allan to come in 1 lap before. But the average lap times, as far as he's concerned, just not quite as quick as those for Henri Lotterer. Now, this will be the end of a quadruple stint for Allan, and it will be interesting to see whether or not they try and make the tyres go 5. I'd be highly surprised if they do. I think quadrupling is quite enough, and as I say, he will. He's currently on his 45th lap at the moment, and say expecting him in if he comes in at the end of that. Actually, that is his 11th lap of the stint, isn't it? Yes, he was in on lap 34, and he's currently on his 45th. So this is still 11 lap stinting for Audi, and strikes me, Johnny Palmer up here with me in the booth, that both Audi and Toyota have upped their game in terms of fuel consumption and performance.
Okay, I'll take your word for it on that. But yeah, I suppose were they just kind of easing their way into it and finding their form, therefore, and they are now making adjustment for that?
Well, yes. I mean, we never knew exactly during qualifying how much fuel was left at the car at the end of the stints, but the longest stint done by an Audi during qualifying was 10 laps. Toyota did actually do an 11 lapper during one of the free practice sessions. But Lotterer goes through again there, completing 45 laps. As I say, he's got a lead of 45 seconds over McNish in second place. So we're waiting for McNish to come through. He should be through, as I say, any moment now and bound for the pits. And the expectation this time is that he will be handing over to Loic Duval, who will be taking over. Yes, so it'll be Allan McNish handing over to Loic Duval when he comes into the pits.
And let's just quickly run through the update at 1/4 the hour. You'll appreciate that the news of Allan Simonsen's death has hit us all quite hard here. However, we will continue.
McNish in the pits, John.
As Allan McNish comes into the pits in GTE AM, it's 61, 55 and 67. Ferrari and Porsche. Full service there, as you probably heard on the pits to car talk back. In GTE Pro, top 3 are inside the top 24 again, which means on the front page of our timing and scoring screen, Darren Turner in the 97, Rob Bell in the 99, the 2 Aston Martins leading from Romain Dumas in Porsche number 92. In P2, it's 24, 35 and 33. Alex Brundle at the wheel of the leading Morgan Oak, and 1, 3 and 2 as Allan McNish comes into the pit lane, and Joe Bradley at that end of things, I think. Joe?
No, it is Bruce.
Oh, sorry, Bruce.
I was just waiting while you're doing the numbers. Loic Duval has got on board. Fresh set of slicks about to go on, are going on now. Lots of pats on the back for Allan McNish. I'll wait to get hold of him in the next couple of minutes, because those opening laps, they deserve some discussion about how exciting they were. The positions changing back and forth. But can any of these 2 and 3 Audis catch up with number 1? Lotterer doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, Bruce. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I think that's the key question for Allan when he is in a position to talk to you, whether there is concern that their car seems to be just a little bit slower than that number 1 car. Certainly the 3 and the 2 seem very comparable. And then, of course, the other thing is that Toyota finally showing their true pace. So it will be interesting to hear from Allan when he's ready. Meanwhile, out on the circuit, we've got a very slow-moving Greaves Zytek, the one with the green colours, the Caterham sponsorship on it, car number 41, which is...
That car's just gone out of the pits, Paul, so it might just be cold tyres.
Alex Rossi, isn't it? Behind the wheel of it on his way out of the pits in that car. Another thing which is interesting about the advantage that the Audis have, or the Audi number 1 has, is that it is able to complete its pit stop without losing the lead, and that is normally a sign of a particularly substantial advantage.
We're just waiting to see if we can get a quick word with the Audi drivers, but there are two more drivers waiting to take over the other two cars. That's Bruce's end of things, and we'll go back down to him in just a moment. The number one car is in the pit lane. Andre Lotterer then will hand over and vacate the seat of the number one car for the first time. Well, that is slightly delayed, remember. He's actually already in the lane. Let's go down to Bruce Jones then, who's at pit out, which means, oh, nearly pit out, which means he's at the end where Audi are pitted.
And as I speak, number one comes to a halt. Andre Lotterer, a fantastic opening stint. Benoit Treluyer ready to take that over. And because he can come in from behind, they don't mind bringing number 3 in, and we'll have a driver change there. I think it's Marc Genet who's going to take over. Sorry, I thought it was Ollie Jarvis, but a standard pit stop as we had for number 2 a moment ago. Allan McNish is in the little cupboard behind me. He's given me a wink a few minutes ago. He's talking to the engineers. He'll come out, still waiting to change the tyres for a new set of slicks for Audi number 1. Number 3 not yet in the pit lane. I'll come back when I have the wee jock.
Thank you, Bruce. And here comes the number 3 Audi. So we might as well just stay down there. You just keep on going for a little while, Bruce. You seem like you're going to get all the action at the moment.
Well, why not? I arrived and nothing was happening. It is Ollie Jarvis. I've just been going blind. He looks a bit shorter. Maybe it's the cares of the world. We have a cameraman on his back. He just tripped over himself. Luckily, he's way away from the car. So Lucas Di Grassi, the Brazilian driver, out of number 3 as number 1 has rejoined at the circuit. Benoit Treluyer making his stop and taking over from Andre Lotterer. Luckily for them, the team in the next pit wants its pit stops. They need the Audi people to be out of the way. Number 3, nice and standard work there. British driver Oliver Jarvis taking over from the Brazilian Lucas Di Grassi. It is also totally standard. For once, the weather has settled down. We did have sunshine, believe it or not, about 10 minutes ago after several of hours of rain, a little bit dry, a little bit, lots of windows and lots of rubbish actually blowing up the pit lane, which isn't totally brilliant. But any second now, number 3 Audi be back on the ground, ready to accelerate away. Hopefully this cameraman will not fall over for a second time. He's the man getting you the shot that you can see on the big screens. So off goes number 3. McNish still in the box behind me. He'll come out in a while.
Thank you, Bruce. Johnny Palmer here in the box then with Paul Truswell, and it is 6:20 local time. Benoit Treluyer leads the race by nearly 21 seconds from Anthony Davidson, so the 1 Audi from the 8 Toyota, and then the number 2 Audi Loic Duval is in 3rd position. Really intrigued by the P2 battle at the moment. The 24 car leads the way at the moment. That was the car started by Olivier Pla, the black and pink Oak Racing Morgan. Alex Brundle, the gold driver, now at the wheel. Ricardo Gonzalez is on board the 35 from the same team. Bertrand Baguette started that machine. He's a platinum driver, but has handed over to silver-graded Gonzalez. And an awesome stint from Ryan Briscoe, who's been in the car since the start.
So then keep going.
That was Nicolas Lapierre again from the number 7 Toyota, talking to the guys on the pit wall. What's the limit, Paul, for how long you can drive for? Because Ryan Briscoe has been in there for 3 hours and 20 minutes now.
Yes, it's 4 hours is the limit. And of course the time spent behind the safety car still counts as time spent behind the wheel, so they will have to make sure they take that into account.
So Briscoe slowly working his way up the order, and is he catching Gonzalez? Not on the last lap, but a platinum driver versus a silver driver would mean that there should be some closing in there for 2nd position, but it's Oak Morgan from Oak Morgan in P2, and then the level 5 Motorsports HPD of Ryan Briscoe. The rain has started to come down again, according to Bruce Jones in pit lane. So raining at this side of the circuit doesn't necessarily mean it's raining all across the 8.5 miles. And the top 6 cars all on the lead lap at the moment. We're waiting for the Rebellion Lolas to come through to complete their 46th lap. Down to the pit lane then, powered by Nissan, and this is Bruce Jones with Allan McNish.
Alan, that was a very interesting opening couple of laps of the race before the safety car came out. There's some pretty serious racing going on out there between you and the Toyotas.
To be honest, they were much quicker at that point of the race, and I didn't want to take any risks, but I didn't want to be behind them if it dried up. But
we're getting out of the rain a bit now.
I have to say, that was the most horrible time I've had in a car around here. You just didn't know what was coming. You know, you had one lap in Mulsanne, it was dry, and the sun was out for a couple of laps, and then suddenly it was raining, and then it was just on and off all the time. It's so difficult to feel the grip, but also to feel how fast you could risk it.
Obviously, all the Audi drivers have just done a quadruple stint, but Andre Lotter, at number 1, has made quite a lead. Can you guys haul it back?
Yeah, you can. It depends how much risk you're taking. And, you know, if it's like this or constant, then I think we're in good shape. We'll just have to wait and see when we all get into the rhythm.
And as you get out of the car, it starts raining again. It's that sort of race.
Yeah, unfortunately that's Loic's problem now.
Thanks very much, Allan McNish. Good opening stint. Came in second place in car number 2.
And taking that car over, Loic Duval down to 3rd position behind Anthony Davidson's number 8 Toyota. There's a Toyota making its way out of Tertre Rouge now, which will be Davidson, I reckon. Let's go down to Joe Bradley, who has some news of a damaged car.
Yeah, the number 41, the Caterham Zytek Nissan engined car, 41 in LMP2. Alexander Rossi at the wheel of that car now. You saw him going very slowly out on the track. He's managed to get it back to the pits, and he's done an absolutely sterling job, because the top wishbone is pulled out of the upright of the right rear corner. They're going to work on it now. He's clearly had an off of some sort, and he's come into contact with something, because they're going to have to change that right rear corner. I'll come back to you when we've got more.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to the 41 Greaves Motorsport Zytek. The 41 car started by Tom Kimber-Smith, and as you say, Joe, it's now Alexander Rossi at the wheel.
Rossi was on his outlap when that happened, so whether he went off on cold tyres and that did the damage, I don't know. That's obviously speculation on our part. The other thing which, with all the other things that have been going on, I'm not quite sure that we ever reported was happening, is that a stop-and-go penalty has been given to the number 71 car. Remember, that had that unsafe release of the AF Corsa Ferrari. Tony Villander was at the wheel. Well, that has now been examined by the stewards, and they've decided it was an unsafe release. And so the car has been given a stop-and-go penalty. So we'll keep our eyes on that for when it actually happens.
Just following up the very tragic news about Allan Simonsen. This statement has been released from Aston Martin Racing. It is with great shock and sadness that Aston Martin Racing team confirms that an accident occurred shortly after the start of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the number 95 Vantage, driven by Allan Simonsen, left the track at Tertre Rouge. Tragically, and despite the best efforts of the emergency services, Allan's injuries have proved fatal. Aston Martin Managing Director John Gore said, "On behalf of all of us as Aston Martin, I would like to extend our deepest sympathies and condolences to the individuals and families of whose friends or loved ones were involved in today's terrible tragedy." Now, Aston Martin Racing, also, as we heard from the ACO, have said that they will not make any further comments until the precise circumstances of the accident have been determined. Next of kin have been informed. Doesn't say this here, but obviously, if you weren't listening a few moments ago, the ACO have confirmed that David Richards himself was the person who passed the sad news on to Allan Simonson's immediate family. So no further statements from the AC or from Aston Martin, but once again confirming, if you are just joining us, the very sad news that the starting driver of the 95 Vantage GT, Allan Simonsen, has lost his life after an accident in the opening laps of this year's Le Mans 24 Hours.
Benoit Treluet continues to lead by 18 seconds from Anthony Davidson in this 90th running. There's a Toyota going wide actually at the Dunlop S's as well. Was it a replay or live pictures?
That is live pictures. That is Anthony Davidson arriving at what has proved a very tricky corner in these conditions. This is the replay now, Johnny. You can talk us through it.
Yeah, it's Anthony Davidson breaking kind of runoff area there, no gravel trap for drivers right through the left-right chicane, so there'll be no damage incurred by the number 8 car, but some time nevertheless added to the lap time for this one. This is lap 49 for the race leaders.
And interestingly, Anthony Davidson due in for his pit stop at the end, not of this lap, but of the next lap. So the fuel advantage of Toyota is beginning to become apparent. What is very difficult for me to do at the moment, but I'll press on with it, is to work out whether or not it's going to be enough. I mean, the conditions are so changeable that the lap times are going up and down like yo-yos, and so getting actually comparative lap times on the car is very difficult to work out, but we would expect when they come into the pits it will be Anthony Davidson coming in a lap ahead of Nicolas Lapierre, and both of them copying the Audis as it were, but doing full service changes.
Anthony Davidson sending some information back to them as well from the number 8 Toyota, possibly a brief report on his wide moment just after Dunlop Curve and before the Dunlop Bridge. And Aston Martin is in for a stop. This is the number 98 car, Bill Oberlin at the wheel, and Bruce Jones stood right next to it.
Just the other side of the pit lane, in fact, on the pit wall, trying to stay safe. Darren Turner's just got out of 97, which is the car behind. No driver change for 98, but Darren Turner out of the GTE Pro, leading car number 97, the day to night car, and Stefan Muka taking over that. New set of tyres alongside, waiting to go on. Of course, even though the rain is coming and going, they've got a set of slick tyres out there for car number 97, leading the way in the class for Aston Martin.
And the number 12 Rebellion Lola is off at Tert Rouge. It spun, is that Tert Rouge or is it the first chicane? Marker post 19. So a wider shot required really to work out exactly where that is. Just head back to Bruce for a quick word.
Just actually saying, I'm sure that was Tert Rouge. I had a look there. Yes, there's the public road. Well, it's all public road there, isn't it? But Stefan Muka, 97, back out onto the circuit. There's that replay of the Rebellion Lola going round.
And front left damage as well. At least one dive plane missing from the black Rebellion Lola, driven by Nick Heidfeld to spin then at Tert Rouge. And it's getting very interesting at the front of the P2 battle now, because we have two Oak Racing Morgans with their Nissan engines getting close to one another. Alex Brundle leads the P2 race ahead of Ricardo Gonzalez, but he is reeling in the young man from Norfolk. Joe Bradley with news.
Yeah, we've got the other Zytec Nissan 42 of the Greaves team in for a stop. Lucas Ordonez is still in the car. Looks like it's going to just be fuel for it. They've got new hand-cut slicks which are acting as intermediates on this very changeable track, so it looks like pretty routine. It's getting a bit of oil replenishment in the motor. He stays on the same tyres. No fresh tyres. He is still on hand-cut slicks, and he's kept the same set.
Thank you, Joe. Also worth being aware that Mike Conway is catching the two leading Morgans, the Two Oak Racing Morgans, being caught then by the G-Drive Racing Orica. Mike Conway at the wheel now. That car was started by not Rusinov and not Conway, the other driver in the lineup, John Martin. I'm interested in Ryan Briscoe's pace. The 33 car has gone well all race. It hasn't come in for another stop, but it's lost 2 places. It was third last time I looked within P2, but Ryan may be struggling with the Level 5 Motorsports HPD.
Yeah, and somebody else who's struggling with the conditions, Johnny, are the Audis, because remember Nicolas Lapierre came in on his previous stop and put the intermediates on, not on the stop that his last stop, but the one before that, put these intermediate tyres on. They're now coming into their own, and Lapierre has jumped both Loic Duval and Oliver Jarvis to get into third place in the race. So we've got the leader of the race, number 1 Ben Trellier, now at the wheel of the number 1 Audi, but he is being caught hand over fist by Anthony Davidson and by Nicolas Lapierre. Anthony Davidson, who's due a pit stop, as is Nicolas Lapierre, but they're both catching the Audi, and as I say, they've certainly got more suitable tyre wear on the number 7 Toyota, although going back down the Mulsanne straight, it looks a little bit like Loic Duval is trying to get his own back.
Mike Conway was catching the two leading Morgan Oaks, but he's coming in for a stop in car 26 and out again. So, and there've been a number of stops actually for 1 or 2 of the P2 cars. The Pecom Racing Orica's come in. Nick Manasseh on board and stays in the car, and the 34 race performance machine of Patrick Niederhauser has had a stop as well. So that leaves the P2 top 3 as 24 from 35. They're still only separated by 1.1 seconds, Brundle from Gonzalez. And then the 38 Jota Sport Zytek of Lucas Lure now is third as 2G. Sorry, Paul.
Sorry, no, just very noticeable. The battle for the third place between Loic Duval and Nicolas Lapierre. As they came out of Mulsanne corner, you could see, if you could see a big screen, how unstable the Audi was compared to the Toyota, and the Toyota was, as I say, very nicely away from the corner, a nice straight line, fast acceleration, whereas Loic Duval was really struggling for grip with the Audi. The been at where's that? Is that Mulsanne corner as well? It is, yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. So it's action happening at Mulsanne corner, but no, it's
Jones.
Going very well for car 24, but 2 Oak Racing cars fighting for the class lead. It's exciting.
Very exciting. I mean, the Morgan Nissan car is just amazing here at Le Mans. I think we have definitely the ultimate speed down the long straights, and in tricky conditions like this, when you can't really push to a maximum in the corners, I think that makes a big difference.
You're the next driver going in the car. You must be keeping an eye on what the weather is bringing in. It looks for now as though it's drying out.
Yes, that's a forecast I've seen as well, which I'm quite happy about. Olivier did an amazing job managing very, very tricky conditions when he stayed on a slick tire and everybody else went to the cut. That gave us almost 1 minute lead once all the pit stop shakeout. So amazing job by him, but I would prefer not to have to do superhuman feats like that.
Yeah, and I guess the 2 cars fighting so close at the front. Are there any team orders?
No team orders. We're going for it, both the cars. It looked a little closer than it really is because car 35 is owed a pit stop, so they're going to come in now, and that's going to split it up again.
Okay, well, have a great run when you get in the car, David. Thank you.
The hourly update, powered by Audi.
just gone 6:30 then local time, and we are just over 3.5 hours into the race. Time for the latest hourly update. Trust us, you weren't particularly prepared for that, were you?
Sorry, I looked at you and thought you were going to do it. I am prepared for it.
Okay.
Ben Trellier, it is in the number 1 Audi who leads the race by very nearly a minute now, because in second place is the number 7 Toyota, Nicolas Lapierre, who will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Lapierre having had problems earlier in the race with some kind of problem which stranded him for a little while, but he managed to get going again. He's currently in second place though, having a great battle on the circuit with Loic Duval, and Duval has at the moment, yes, he's still there, isn't he, in third place. I say nothing to choose between those two. In fourth place is the number 3 Audi, Oliver Jarvis at the wheel. He is a further 7 seconds behind those two that are battling it out. In fifth place is now Sebastian Buemi at the wheel of the number 8 Toyota, having just this moment taking it over from Anthony Davidson. And I'd like, if possible, for one of our Nissan powered lap by Nissan pit lane commentators to tell us whether they put the intermediate tyre car or not. In sixth place is number 13, Frankie Cheng at the wheel of the Rebellion Lola, the leading Rebellion Lola. In seventh place is number 21, Watts, who in the Rebellion Lola. They've both completed 3 pit stops, that car from number 13 having changed on the previous stop. And then in 8th place, now on his outlap, having had his 4th pit stop, is number 12, Rebellion Lola, which is Neil Yarney, now taking over the car that was started by Nick Heidfeld. That's the situation in P1. In P2, it's currently the Oak Racing Morgan of Alex Brundle which leads that class, but by 23 seconds only from the Jota Zytek, which Lucas Luer is driving, and Lucas has 8 seconds of an advantage over the third place car in P2, which is number 46, the Thierry by TDS Racing Orica, which now has Pierre Terrier at the wheel. In GT Pro, Aston Martin, number 97, leads. Stefan Mucker at the wheel, and he has, a second and a half of an advantage from the Porsche, number 92, which Romain Dumas is driving. And then third in GTE Pro is another Aston Martin. This is the number 99 car, Fred Macavici, taking over the car that Rob Bell started, and he is 13 seconds behind the Porsche. So Aston 97 leads Porsche 92 ahead of Aston number 99 in third place in the GTE Pro class. As far as the GTE AM class, that's being led by the number 61 AF Corsa Ferrari, which currently has Matt Griffin behind the wheel, started by Marco Ciocci. Second in GTE AM is the number 67 car, the IMSA Performance Matmut Porsche, and I can't tell you at the moment quite how far that is behind, but it is on the same lap, of course, in GTE AM. And then third in GTE AM is car number 55, the other AF Corsa Ferrari in that class, which is the car that Daryl O'Young started and is now in the hands of Lorenzo Carze. I should have told you that the IMSA Performance Matmut Porsche is currently being driven by Wolf Hensler and is just 5 seconds behind the leading... no, it's not, is it? Because it's behind the leading Ferrari. It is actually some 45 seconds behind. So the GTE AM Ferrari number 61 leading by 45 seconds at the moment. That's the hourly update. We'll have another look at things at about 7:30 this evening local time.
The hourly update on Radio Le Mans with Audi TDI Vorsprung durch Technik.
Number 7 Toyota's very recently come in, and a driver change. Alex Wurtz now on board, the man out of the car, Nicolas Lapierre, who's with Bruce Jones. With Joe Bradley, beg your pardon. Have you managed to get up here, Joe?
He's talking to more important people than me at the moment, which is his engineer on the pit wall.
What I do know you can tell us about is tyres, though, because there was a question mark about which tyres the number 8 car went on to. It's Buemi now at the wheel of that car, but what sort of rubber is it on, Joe?
Well, the question is indeed what mark, because the tyres that came off had a white sticker on the sidewall next to the Michelin sticker. I take it that's the intermediate. That's what we've been working at all day. They've come off. A tyre that's gone on is a slick tyre, tread-wise, but there's no white sticker beside the Michelin sticker, which indicates that it is a true dry weather slick tyre. That's gone onto both the 7 and the 8 car.
Nick Damon is nodding furiously to my left-hand side, so you've got to have that right, Joe. You've got to have that right.
Is that right? Can someone confirm that? Yeah.
If Nick's nodding, usually it's wrong.
All right. Okay.
But no, we'll go with his opinion. That's
right.
Fine.
So then, just to clarify, the 2 Toyotas are both on the dry slick tyre. Both on the dry slick.
Good work. Okay. Thank you for that. So the Toyotas are running 4th and 5th at the moment. Buemi at the wheel of the number 8. Alex Wirtz, the lanky Austrian, is at the wheel of the number 7. And 6th and 7th positions still the Rebellion Lolas. Frankie Cheng on board the 13, and no, beg your pardon, it's then the Stracker HPD in 7th position. Danny Watts in that car ahead of the 12 of Neil Yarni, which was the car that spun at Rouge very recently. What's the gap like between the 2 Oak Racing Morgans? Much more significant than when we last spoke, because the 35 car has come in for a stop. Ricardo Gonzalez remain at the wheel though, but that puts Mike Conway into 2nd place in P2 now, 10th overall. The 26 G-Drive sponsored and G-Drive run Orica 03 of Mike Conway going very strongly at the moment, lapping last time around the 350.3, but Alex Brundle, his pace is better in the number 24 Oak Racing Morgan, the 347.9 last time around, and he's on to his 50th lap. That's a couple of laps off the race leaders. GT Pro still headed by the 97 Aston. That's been the way of things since the start of the race. Darren Turner, a great stint to kick things off, and now Stefan Muka is on board, and it's Matt Griffin who leads the way in GT Am in car 61. But whether it's a GT Am or GT Pro battle, the GT cars making a splendid sight around the circuit, and there are very close battles within that. Fred Makovici pushing the 99 car incredibly hard, and in fact it puts in its best lap time, the car's best lap time of the race, a 357.5. So that's the 3rd place GT Pro car, closing in on Romain Dumas now in the number 92 Works Porsche. Trussers. What have you got? What can you tell me?
Yeah, I'm trying to work out who's got the advantage in this race, and I can't because the conditions are changing too much. My weather forecast that I last looked at, and that was confirmed on the one that we had from the Triumph at the top of the hour, suggests that there isn't much rain left in the sky for this evening. And that although there is a very small chance of some drizzle in the night, it is only a small chance, and that more likely than not it's actually going to be a dry night. So being on slick tyres is undoubtedly the right thing to be, and if we can still keep going with a safety car free race, then the pattern will start to emerge. But there is absolutely no doubt at all that the Toyotas can do one more lap than the Audis. The Audis have been doing 11 laps, the Toyotas 12. As the track dries out, I'm expecting that to come down for the Audis to 10 laps, and we'll see whether or not the Toyotas are going to be able to stick with their 12, or whether theirs is going to come down as well. And then when we know what the difference in stint length is going to be, we can start looking at what the lap times are, and then we can start making the projection work. But at the moment it is extremely finely balanced with the Toyotas that are running in 4th and 5th places have fallen back now, so that they're over a minute behind. A minute and 10 seconds is how far Buemi is back now that he's had his pit stop. and Alexander Wurz in the number 7 car is a further 10 seconds behind. But that might just be close enough that when their pit stop advantage, because their fuel consumption unravels, it might see them being able to take over in the lead of the race when it comes around that they have the advantage on the pit stops. But it'll depend a little bit on the way that Benoit Treluet is going to be able to lap in the Audi at the moment. And as I say, this is a bit early days in this dry stint, but at the moment it seems like the Audis can lap more quickly in dry conditions than the Toyotas can.
Finally, Ryan Briscoe has clambered out of the 33 Level 5 Motorsports HPD because Marino Franchitti is now on board the number 33 car. Where is that in class? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th place in class, just tucked in right behind Orica. That's the race performance number 34 car, Swiss run team, and 34 and 33 are, I think, right together actually. Yes, not too far away from each other at all. 7/10 of a second for 7th and 8th places in P2. A class led by Alex Brundle. Mike Conway is in 2nd position and still reeling in. Brundle in the 24 car. Conway's last lap was a 3:45.0, so he's found 4 seconds on Brundle, and homing in on the Brit. 2 Brits at the head of the field for P2 therefore. Ricardo Gonzalez is in 3rd position and Pierre Terre is in 4th place. We're not too far away from an interview with Nick Lapierre, who has recently clambered out of the number 7 car. Joe Bradley, I know, working hard down in pit lane to try and grab a word with the man that started the 7.
Meanwhile, the number 21 HPD is in for its pit stop, and it, of all the LMP1 cars, is the most economical of them. So in comes Danny Watts at the wheel of the Stracker. I understand that car actually did go to the expense of buying a new fuel tank so that it could take full advantage of the additional 3 litres that the team was allowed.
So 3rd position in P2 is Ricardo Gonzalez, as I say, in the 35 car. Pierre Terre is now driving the 46, which was started by Maxime Martin, who did a lengthy stint at the start of the race. But it's now Thierry who drives the 46, Thierry by TDS Racing car. Nicolas Menassian still on board the 49 car, a machine started by Pierre Caffer, and there are 2 P2 cars very close to one another heading through Indianapolis. That looks to be the 48 Orica of Mark Patterson. That's the Murphy Prototypes machine, followed by a car that is not on the same lap. So the 48 car, I think, about to be lapped. Speaking of which, the number 3 Audi of Oliver Jarvis dispenses some slower P2 traffic. It's the level 5 Motorsports HPD car that caught up behind the Murphy Prototypes Orica. They're making their way towards Porsche Curve, and let's now hand over to Joe Bradley, who's been working very, very hard. Ultimate patient levels, but we should be able to have a word now with Lapierre.
I'm still working very hard.
Oh, you're still working very hard, I beg your pardon. Okay.
Yeah, Nick Lapierre being interviewed by Japanese television. We're going to be able to piggyback TV with Andrew Marriott.
Changing all the time. Yeah, it's very difficult for us, especially in those close cars. You don't really see if the track is wet or not, and on such a long track, from one lap to the other, it can be completely different. So you have to be very careful. It was a very tough beginning of race.
You've now gone on to, you just switched the car into dry tyres, I believe. You've gone on to dries.
Sorry?
You've gone on to dry tyres now.
Yeah, we are back on dry tyres. The last 2 stints we did them with Inter tyres, which were much better on the drizzle, but a bit slower when the track was getting dry. But overall, I think we gained 20 or 30 seconds, so it was a good choice, but you need a bit of luck because the weather is changing so fast that it's very difficult to predict anything right now. It's very difficult.
Switch over to another second.
working, and we are back on the road.
Nico, thanks very much.
I'm just going to ask Nick one very. I'm just going to move to the edge of the garage where my radio. Nick, if the sun stays out, can Toyota be competitive with Audi?
It's difficult to know right now because the track hasn't been really dry from the beginning of the race. But it seems that we are more competitive than during the practice or qualifying. So yeah, it should be okay. I mean, the race will be tough. The weather will be very difficult to predict. But the pace of the car is so we are back in the game, but you know it's going to be a very long one.
And what will you do now, Nick, to prepare for your next stint?
I go to a massage, then I go to eat some food, and then I'm going to get some sleep before the tough night.
Thank you, Nick. Nicholas Lapierre just have a very competitive run in the Toyota.
In the number 7, and Alex Wurz is now on board. Crackit Scrap heading through Mulsanne Corner. That is the 49 Picom Racing Orica of Nicolas Menassian, but he's got Lucas Luhr very much for company now, and then 38 Jota Sports Zytec, the Z11 SN, that's the non-Greaves Zytec, and this is Lucas Luhr having a bit of a think about a move around the outside. Has he got straight line speed then? The two Oricas, Orica versus Zytec this is, and the Zytec on the outside line. The right-hand king, this is the run down to Indianapolis, the right-hander followed by Indianapolis itself through the left-hander, but of course the inside line was held by Nicolas Menassian, and he keeps 5th place within P2, but an intense fight there that Lucas Luhr is not going to relinquish easily, so having to drive a very, very wide Orica 03 there. Nicolas Menassian, we'll keep you updated on that. Trussers?
Yes, looking at the position for the LMP1, whilst the LMP2 battle is continuing on there for 5th place, isn't it, in P2, that in the P2 class. Interesting to look out for when Loic Duval makes his next pit stop, because if it's at the end of this lap that he's on at the moment, then we've got an indication. There he goes now through, and he's not coming in, so this is going to be another 11 lap stint. So it is going to be tight. Nicolas Lapierre just telling Joe there how difficult it is.
Spin in front of us. That's the 39 DKR Engineering Lola, which very nearly took out the car right behind it, which would have been the Pierre Thierry TDS by TDS Racing Orica,
which is 4th in the LMP2 class.
Indeed, and the 39 car not mixing it with the leading P2 cars, trying desperately to turn the thing around, is the driver of the 39, being fastest finger first. It is Roman Brandella down there on the 3rd screen, 9th place, and Roman trying to get the car turned around, reversing into the tyre wall. Got a great view of this right in front of us at the Ford chicane, between the two chicanes. That's going to take some time, I think. Continue with your point. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just a matter of him waiting for a gap in the traffic, I think, and then we'll see Brandella back out. There's another spinner as well, and that's
even more significant.
That's the Jota, that's Lucas Luhr, and I suspect that that's his effort to take 4th place in the class, all going horribly wrong.
Oh, on the grass there, coming out of Forest Esses and up towards Tertre Rouge. A big clatter of the barrier as well, takes out a couple of marker posts on the approach to Tertre Rouge, ends up on the driver's right-hand side of the circuit, just before the curb for the apex. It's kind of a double right-hander at Tertre Rouge, and it's the first bit that he's come to rest on the curb there. But he was tucked in right behind Nicolas Menassian in the 49 Picom Racing Orica, and Lucas Luhr ending up on the grass, pushing really hard in the 38 Zytec. And there are more cars off, this time at Mulsanne Corner. A G-Drive car, can't tell whether that's the 25 or the 26 from a straight-on shot, and also an Aston Martin going wide. Here's the replay, it's the 96 Aston Martin, the remaining GT Am Aston, and the 25, was that? I still didn't catch a glimpse of which G-Drive Orica it was. 5 Motorsports HPD. It is up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th position. Lucas Luhr down to at least 8th. Lucas Ordonez in the 42 Greaves Zytek is 9th, and then 10th place for Jan Chirouz in the 32 Lotus.
Meanwhile, in the LMP1 battle, heavy traffic there facing the number 8 car, Sebastian Buemi, as he makes heavy weather indeed of getting past the traffic there.
That's Brandella again.
Yeah, it's the DKR engineering car, isn't it? The number 39. But Buemi eventually manages to find the gap and go through. Into the pits now comes Loic Duval. So that's 11 laps completed on the stint for Loic, and he should be just having fuel only at the end of or at this pit stop. Just to check, yes, that is 11 laps for Loic Duval. But the interesting thing is that the lap times themselves for Loic, he was doing 3:28, 3:29. He had a 3:26 in that little stint as well, which was quicker than Ben Treluet is going in the number 1 car. So we had the situation earlier on in the race where the number 1 car seemed to have an advantage. Now it's dried out. I just wonder if that's the key difference. The number 1 car isn't able, it seems, to quite stick with its same advantage. So possibly we'll pick up on that, whether that was tyres or whether that's just the setup of the car. I don't know, but we'll get something in more information on that soon.
Loic Duval just pulling out of a pit stop right next to Bruce Jones.
Well, Paul was right. It was fuel only, but they did come running out with a fresh set of slicks. But instead of putting them on, they just reduced the pressure of the front tyres and sent him on his way with fresh fuel. So keeping me guessing on the pit wall. But they've got to start taking a few risks in what they're trying to do if they're going to try and catch up with number 1, their sister car that has gone so well. First with Lotterer and now Benoit Treluet, which is leading the race. Number 2 still in the fight, but they've got to really take the fight to number 1. And the Jota Sport car is pulling in. I'm looking for left-hand damage. He scraped a bit of a sticker off, and that's about it.
Oh, really?
Very lucky indeed. And I realised it couldn't have been too serious because he just had a skeletal pit crew ready for him in car number 38. Looks so he got away with that one.
Lucas Luhr clattering the barrier, but by the sounds of things, by the skin of his teeth, it could have been an awful lot worse. Ollie Jarvis has made an error up at the first chicane and outbraked himself. Is there damage to the front of that number 3 Audi? Had to straight line the chicane, the kind of regular chicane, and do his own chicane through the tyre bales there, the number 3 Audi, which is in 3rd position before that happened, and now it's shaken out to be that we heard about from Bruce, part of our Powered by Nissan pit lane team.
And so Loic, having had his fuel-only pit stop, that's the portent for the other 2, which will be Treluet and Jarvis coming in for their equivalent pit stops 1 lap later. And as I say, what we'll expect to see is Treluet coming in at the end of his lap 57, and also, in fact, there he is in the pit lane as I speak, and then not far behind it will be Oliver Jarvis, maybe just getting a little bit excited there as the car gets lighter and the fuel load lightens. Loic Duval's stop was 59 seconds. Which seems to be the standard refueling stop for the Audis. As in comes Treluet. I'm sure Bruce is there again. Is he, Bruce?
Go on, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm there watching it. Again, no real rush, but he is sitting on a lead, a comfortable lead, car number 1 for Benoit Treluet. You have the traditional mechanic astride the nose of the car, cleaning the screen. Another person cleaning the headlights, and they're just checking all round. It's going to be fuel only, unless they've forgotten to bring any tyres out. So all looking good. I think they might need to clear a few cameramen out of the way. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but they do so. And Treluet back on the way, and of course they're now ready for number 3. That's the trouble. Is, if your cars are coming about, as you say, about a minute, you get in as the other's about to go. But anyhow, they've done that. Still waiting for number 3. They have a fresh set of tyres ready, but they've tried to fool me with that for number 2 and for number 1 during their pit stops. Looking down the pit lane, I can see number 3 coming in. I think someone said there might be a bit of nose damage, or maybe I misheard what you were saying. I can't see any as yet.
On the 3, yeah, it was just a question mark. I wonder whether there was a bit of a split of working loose, but it was tough to tell because Jarvis was fully locked up into the first chicane. A lot of smoke around there and may well have been disrupting the pictures.
Yeah, I can see no damage. They've brought out a fresh set of tyres. They've put them on the left of the car, the pit wall side of the car. I'm sure they're not going to apply them. They're still refueling that car. Let's see. Does he need any new tyres? I don't think he does. So I think 3 standard pit stops.
Bruce, are the tyres the same front and back in terms of the amount of stickering that's on them?
Counting the stickers, but let's see. Yes, they are.
Right, okay. Because there was a suggestion earlier on that they had different tyres on the front and the back.
We have a tyre change. They've changed the rear tyre. They can do the same at the front. So yes, a new set of tyres all round. So that has bucked the trend for the. I'm just checking the number of stickers. Different stickering pattern. They've got bigger Michelin stickers and fewer small stickers on the tyres. So could be a big difference there. Let's see.
Well, I think you're going to have to go and ask for that one, Bruce, because our understanding is that the ones with the extra stickers are the intermediates. And if I heard you right, what you were describing was the ones with the extra stickers are going onto the car.
No, they had larger Michelin stickers and fewer small stickers. So
meters per lap, then there's not enough fuel left to do a full lap, so they're coming in on the full stint. As I say, we now need to wait until we get the next set of pit stops for the Toyotas, but the interesting thing is that it will be longer to wait for the Toyotas to come in than it was between the Toyota's last pit stop and the Audi's current pit stop that we've seen. So you can see how this extra fuel economy which we're getting from the Toyotas, or at least a longer stint length we're getting from the Toyotas, is slowly beginning to play into their hands. But the problem they have is that their pace is not quite there. Certainly the way that Andre Lotterer was able to disappear off into the distance in the early stages of the race when it was still a little bit damp. And at the moment, as I say, we'll work out what the lap times are as soon as they start to come back into the right average. In the meanwhile,
24 hours a day, Radio Le Mans.
It's time for shift change.
Fine. Welcome along, Jim.
Thank you. Jim Roller and Sam Collins joining you today with a little bit heavier heart than I certainly planned on, but they are carrying on. We will carry on. Godspeed to Allan Simonsen, and prayers to his family. Sam, though, it's what we do. It's a professional blood sport. Unfortunately, it happens occasionally. Luckily, it hasn't happened here since 1986. But other than that, it has been a big surprise of a race.
It's been a fascinating race, Jim. Really fascinating, because just the level of strategy, the changing weather, and it's all about the tyres. That gets me quite excited. I really like these sort of races where, I can see Paul looking. I'm surprised how cool you look at the moment, Paul, because this has been the pit stop's been everything, and tyre selection has been everything.
Yes, exactly. It has been fascinating the way it has played out. What I'm kind of waiting for before I get too excited is when we get to the point where we get a proper pattern emerging and we get a full dry stint, and because we haven't really had that yet. But I think the next stint from the Audis is going to be a full dry stint, because remember at the beginning of this one there was a little bit of dampness around. So yes, it's coming along. But the other thing which has been a huge pleasure has been the battles that have been going on in LMP2. Very, very good battling going on in P2. And it's really been nose-to-tail, side-by-side stuff.
In the opening laps of the race, I was sitting in the press room trying to make the internet work and failing, but...
yeah, how'd that work for you?
yeah, it didn't go so well. But you could hear the cars going past, and you could tell the LMP ones because there was silence. Then there was the buzz of the Toyotas, and then you could hear the Rebellions go past. And then there was this as one, swarm of bumblebees going past the start-finish straight, and that was LMP2, the entire class. And as we're talking about, we've already got a fantastic on-track battle between two of the Orekas, and it's the two I always get confused. You've got the Tourette car, and I think that's the Boots and Energy, the 49 car.
It's
yes, it is.
Nick Manassian, who's just got ahead, in fact, Sam. That's why with their TV director is focusing on it, and we're focusing on it, because Nick Manassian then in the PCOM car, currently running down the Mulsanne straight ahead of Pierre Terrier's TDS racing car.
And that's a great name, Nick Manassian. He's had a lot of experience here, and it seems strange to see him in a P2 car, because we've been seeing him in the frontline P1 cars for so long, and that speaks to the quality of the P2 field. We've got an IRL winner in Mike Conway just out there on the racetrack right now. You've got a Brundle. Okay, he's not his dad, but he's a Brundle. You've got Conway. You've got Manassian. You've got Marino Franchitti. You've got Lucas Lohr. You've got Lucas Ordonez. And those are just in the top 5 or 6 cars. It's an amazing field of P2 cars this year.
Well, when you looked at the opening lap, the opening 2 laps of LMP2, you just had this list because it was the fastest qualifying driver to start at the race. You had just this list of fantastic names. It looked like a single Zeta race from a couple of years
And
ago.
how about Jan Mardenborough?
Oh,
everybody was skeptical. But he was very elegant. He handled that with distinction, I would say.
Fantastic, and I think he's impressed a lot of people. And well, I do wonder if he's going to get to drive that white triangular thing called the Ziot.
You think?
Yeah, I think he might get a little run out in that, don't you?
I think he'll get a little seat time in that car. Before we move on to the other 2 classes, I do want to talk about, I want to ask Paul one question before he dives into his homework over there. We haven't seen, as you said earlier, we haven't seen the cars do a full dry stint in this race because of Mother Nature just being as picky as she has been. Could that full dry stint, Sam, be the undoing of the Toyotas?
You're talking about
the tires.
No. You're talking about there being a full dry stint. I think that sounds very optimistic. No, I know there's something very unusual that we haven't seen all race at the moment in the Porsche curves, sunshine, and it's just reached us in the booth as I mentioned that.
Well, but
nonetheless, the weather has been like it was this time last night. I was sat outside a nice little cafe in the centre of Le Mans town, and the weather was like this, and then there was an absolute downpour. So the weather could change, but we're talking about a full dry stint as if it's definitely going to happen. I'm skeptical if it will happen.
Well, our Triumph weather report, Triumph Motorcycles, Britain's #1 mark. How's that for a segue, huh? Is calling, according to Mr. Truswell, who is not only our statistician, but he's proven to be a pretty accurate meteorologist this week. We're not calling for any more rain until tomorrow morning.
Isn't that when we're on air?
Yeah. Funny how that works. And if that is the case, this could really change the complexion of this race, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. 18 degrees on the outside right now, carrying on with the weather. Our Michelin track temperature is 20 degrees centigrade. Winds are out of the southwest, west-southwest at 12 kilometers an hour, almost 13 kilometers an hour. Humidity is 75%. Barometric pressure holding steady at 1,006.7 millibars. Now we were talking about that fantastic battle in P2, and we've got the 33 car slowing. We should see him come around after Marshall Post 111, which is around the.
That's a Scott Tecker level 5 car.
Yeah, that's the level 5 car, our Native American entry. But before we get to that story, let's go down to Joe Bradley, one of our Nismo athletes patrolling the Nissan pit lane, who can talk to Alex Brundle, who just got out.
Yeah, the number 24 Oak Racing car. Alex, you were leading this the class for some time. It's ebbing and flowing though. This could go on right till the very end.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it will. The Oricas of Delta ADR, G Driver, are really quick again. So It's early days yet. I just wanted to get a couple of stints under my belt. Tricky ones though for a first 2 stints, and conditions changing all the time. You don't get a feel for it standing in the pits, how much the conditions are changing down in Mulsanne and through Indianapolis, and even as far, you know, as close as the Porsche curves, changing conditions all the time. But you know, it's good to get 2 under my belt and retain the lead.
Alex, what sort of thoughts go through your head when all of a sudden you have drops of rain, or quite heavy drops of rain onto your visor, and yet the car still grips? How do you actually feel your way around?
Well, the first thought you have is, you know, don't bin it at this point. You know, you've really got to focus on keeping the thing on the road, and that's the most important thing. I mean, I was given the task of, you know, we went a little bit safe on tyres. I was given the task of, you know, keeping the thing pointing in the same direction through the difficult conditions, and maintaining the lead when I came in the pits. So that's what I did.
Cracking job, mate. Good luck for the rest of this.
How's that for an extended weather forecast, and even a look at how things are out on the racetrack because of that weather forecast? Brought to you by Triumph Motorcycles. Over 100 years of experience in every bike. Triumph Motorcycles. You can see the latest range at triumphmotorcycles.co.uk. We were talking about trouble for the 33 car earlier. Nissan pit lane team, Bruce Jones, keeping us in the know. What do you know?
I know it wasn't bad trouble, it was just a right rear puncture. You talked to the weather. I wanted to point out how windy it was. As Marino Franchitti fired the engine up after the wheel was changed, the whole car was enveloped with exhaust smoke as it blew from the back all the way over the front. That's how it's gusting up and down the pit lane. Quick pit stop. He was doing well in level 5 entry, car number 33. That will have lost him a lot of ground. We've just had one of the Vipers come through. Let's have a look as it leaves the pit lane. That's number 93. Going quietly, starting to make a bit of progress, but the main thing, still going for these 2 newcomers for Le Mans.
Radio Le Mans, the sound of Le Save.
RadioLeMans.com, around the world, on the World Wide Web, and at the track, 91.2 FM, brought to you by Radio Show Limited. If you're in the United States, you can listen to us on Sirius Channel 111 and XM Channel 203 if you can't be at your computer for the next 24 hours. We were talking about P2, Sam. GTE is just as exciting at this point.
It is quite exciting. There was... I couldn't identify 2 of the cars. It was the other Arts car. Had a very nice little bump and rub. One of the Ferraris going through the first chicane, which is I think this is there's been a lot of close racing, really good overtaking. Really, whilst I don't like balanced performance racing, it is quite entertaining here.
Yeah, Paul, the GT battle has been virtually what we expected it to be, with Aston Martin out front, but Porsche has been giving them a pretty good chase.
Yes, they have, and it's been very much a case of Aston Martin against Porsche, and at the moment Fred Macavici, who's closing in on Stefan Mucker in those 2 Astons, so every possibility of changing. We understand that the way that those teams are running is that the number 91 Porsche, Sam will possibly be in position to confirm this, but the number 91 Porsche is being run by a team of engineers and mechanics from Weissach, from Porsche's works team, and the number 92 car by a team of engineers from Manthey Racing. So they've kind of split the Manthey team, where is running the 92, and the number 91 being run by Weissach Porsche team.
And on the screen we're seeing a lead change as it happens in the GT category. I think now I think that we just saw the Ferrari go by. Well, that's not matching up with scoring. Let's check in quickly with Bruce Jones while we figure that out.
Just to say, Jim, that it was 99 really attacking 97. The Ferrari was in between them. Bruno Senna's going in that car next, but Fred Machiavecchi is driving an astonishing run. He's just chipping away a second here, a second there, but they were less than half a second apart when they crossed the start-finish line. And Mako's dropped back a bit, but he has the speed to change the lead. 99 is trying to get past 97.
I think that move has indeed happened, Bruce. There's also the Ferrari involved in that, and now we're seeing one of the Audis, that's the 3 car, getting caught in the Porsche curves in traffic. So there's, as is typical of 24 Hours of Le Mans, there's stuff happening everywhere.
He just got balked by the open-top Lola, the LMP2 car, and had to go the long way round, was on the grass, sideways, and still kept the throttle in. But I think he just spun on the entry to the pit lane.
No, that was the...
was that the Lola?
No, that's the Viper that's spun on the way into the pit lane, the number 53 Chrysler Viper.
Right here in front of us.
Got himself beached in the gravel. He was in the pit lane, but where the pit lane turns left and goes right again, Jim, he just lost control, span through, 270 degrees.
Well, more action in GT Pros. You have the 2 Aston Martins side by side into the second chicane. The Ferrari that we couldn't identify is actually a lap down. That's why we couldn't work out how he's fitting in. But he's been getting mixed up with it because obviously a GTE and Ferrari is not that much slower as a car than a GTE Pro car. So he's been mixing up these 2 Aston Martins, the Mucca and Makovici car, battling for the lead of the class, whilst the Viper, which appears to have quite a bit of damage on it, I don't really know where that's come from, and the 53 Viper, which is beached in the middle of the
Actually, I think it's residual damage from earlier, because that looks like 100-mile-an-hour tape there on the side of the car. So, and also we're seeing the number 3 Audi chasing, I think, the number 8 Toyota. They're trying to work their way around one of the Oak cars. That's the 35 car. So that's the leader in the P2 category, who is right in the middle of this. Has pulled out Makowiecki behind the wheel of that one, has pulled out a little bit on Stefan Mucca. They were nose to tail before, but now the 99 car has pulled out a little bit of an advantage as they go through Arnage. But on the other hand, Oliver Jarvis is right up the tailpipes of Sebastian Buemi now as they make the run. And now they pull side by side as they are heading for Indianapolis. Making the right before Indianapolis, he dives underneath them to take the spot. So Oliver Jarvis goes by Sebastian Buemi on the entrance to Indianapolis as they brake hard for Arnage, the right turn through Arnage. Jarvis uses all the racetrack, but not out onto that wet AstroTurf that we saw the guys using earlier, and so he is now pulling out a little bit of advantage as he pulls away from Buemi.
Well, we're just looking at that, and I think this is going to be the story of the race when it's dry. The Audi's just, the Toyota has no answer to that Audi's performance.
Right.
They are, this time last year, we had a fantastic battle because in different sections of the track, the Toyota and the Audi had an advantage, but in these conditions, in dry conditions, the Audi is just so much faster than the Toyota, and I think there's probably a lot of worried faces in Cologne at the moment, Paul.
Yeah, and in Tokyo as well, probably. You're right. I mean, because you posed the question a little while ago, didn't you? You said if it does stay dry, then is that the end of the Toyota Challenge? Well, I think the answer is it must have to be, because that's evidence, if ever you needed it, as to the fact that the advantage is with Audi in the dry conditions, as into the pits comes Buemi, car number 8, and that is him now. That's on his lap 62, isn't it? Yes, so that's all right.
And Joe Bradley's there.
I am. Car right in front of me just comes to a stop. Looks like just fuel, no tyres being readied. The obligatory clean of the windscreen and the headlights going on whilst the fuel is being put in. New drinks bottle for the driver. Little nudge on the bottom for the guy on the windscreen to get off because they're nearing the fuel being ready and in. Still the fueler has his nozzle inserted. It goes out and creepy. Still creeps me out when that thing takes off. Up to Bruce, the other end of the pit lane.
Yeah, well, it's been chopping and changing. I reported earlier on car 24, one of the Oak Racing Morgans leading the way in LMP2. 35 came in with Ricardo Gonzalez on board in another Oak one. He's just jumped out of the car, and we've we've had a driver change there. We've got Martin Plowman getting on board, but he's now got to sit there while the lead changes in this hyper-competitive secondary class. He'll be underway very shortly indeed. So it's seesawing in LMP2, and we have a lot more racing to come.
A lot more racing to come indeed, as now the TV cameras have picked up that Aston Martin and Corvette battle, and that looks to be the number 98 Aston Martin with Bill Auberlen. You normally see him in a BMW, but no BMWs here this weekend, much to the chagrin of the folks at Speed Center, unfortunately. But he is being chased down by Andy Garcia in the number 73 Corvette.
And just behind them, Jim, is the Patrick Pilet Porsche. The Works 991 Porsche is hunting those two down. He's on his outlap, so he's only behind them because of the pit stop. So I think we're about to have a very good three-way scrap.
This is going to be fantastic. And I like Patrick Pilet. He's one of these young German guys, French guys. He's French, who was part of the Porsche youth program a few years ago, and this is really the first opportunity here at Le Mans for him to be with the Works cars. He's been here as a kind of a customer driver, a Works driver who the customer farms out, and so he is getting an opportunity to actually get a Works drive here, and I think it's his first Works drive here at Le Mans.
I think it's a great drive to have in the Works Porsche, and that program is a fantastic program to be involved in. But as we're looking at the cars coming down in the section towards the entry to the Porsche curves, we're going to see the real difference between this big front-engine V8 muscle car Corvette and, of course, the little Porsche with the engine in the back coming up behind them, and you can see he's already closing up through this section of corners. We have a yellow flag in the section they're in, so there's going to be no overtaking right now, and I'm not sure what that yellow flag's for, but there's some, yeah, there was some rubber marks going off into the wall there, and we're just watching a replay of that, and it's the Caterham look-alike Eureka, the 48 car.
Caterham look-alike. That's nice.
Yeah, but it's the Murphy one.
The Murphy prototype.
I was going to say, you have to be careful when you say Caterham, because there is a Caterham, even more Caterham look-alike.
That's right.
I think the Murphy prototype Caterham look-alike looks more like a Caterham than the actual real Caterham official Zytek one.
Hear what you say, Sam? Yes.
The 73 car has given up the chase of the 98 because he has come into the pits. Joe Bradley, are you there?
That's Bruce's end, actually.
Sorry.
Bruce's end of the Nissan pit lane.
I mistook your voice in the radio. And go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, the 73's come in. We've got Antonio Garcia's going to be hauled out. Jordan Taylor ready to take over. 99 Aston Martin that had just taken the class lead in GTE Pro has come in. Just seeing what I'll look at that one. I think that's a little more interesting from the class lead. Fred Machiavecchi staying on board. There will be a driver change for one of the Aston Martins, but not for car number 99. It just seems to take so long when the fuel has to go in. They're just cleaning the brake ducts. We've had the driver change in the Corvette 73, who was enjoying that great little battle with Bill Oberlen. Is now just having fresh boots put on. That's the way. 99 is already gone. No new
Talk about that battle with Bill Oberlen. He's having a great battle right now. He's passing the Aston Martin. Sorry, Bill Oberlen into the chicane. That this Porsche 991 having great run, but I don't think Bill's quite finished it. That he's got the toe and he's coming straight back at him on the run down to the second, Jim.
Yeah, as soon as the 73 car pulled into the pits, Pilet made his move and was right up the tailpipe of the number 98 car, and his, as Sam rightly said, through the first chicane, made the pass, but Oberlin is staying right with him now. I don't think he's got the horsepower to make this happen on the Mulsanne straightaway.
Well, we've been talking about horsepower, and you know these big American muscle cars. We've got these two European cars. They're very nice, and I see them every day in Chelsea. But I want to see big American muscles. The Corvettes, the Vipers. That's what I like. There was a class a few years ago when Jim France's old man was here, and he brought along two NASCAR stock cars. Stock cars. Come on, I'd love to see something like that. Big muscle cars coming along.
Let's check in with Bruce Jones.
It's funny, it goes quiet for a bit in the pits, and it suddenly really takes off. Car 46 was running second in LMP2 with just checking Pierre Thirier on board. I haven't quite caught who's jumped in, but it's someone with a different body shape and a different helmet. And going down is on the deck, about to fire up. I think it's Ludovic Bade. Said Ludo on the side of his helmet, or else I can't read. So he's gone back into the race, but the LMP2 is fantastic. It's chopping, it's changing. And right behind them, they're putting a new nose. That's not really standard on car number 12, one of the Rebellion Racing cars. That's the one that lost time early on in this race. So this certainly won't be helping to speed up its progress. So that's sitting there. Still haven't actually lifted the nose on. Okay, that'll be fitted very shortly. It's going on now. Joe.
Yeah, in and out has already been the number 7 Toyota. That one just took on exactly the same as its sister car, fuel only and a windscreen wipe. And we've had the 41 Caterham car, the Caterham Zytek that Sam mentioned. That car is not the one that was off short time ago. That car just coming in, and again fuel only for that one as well. It seems the whole field, apart from the old LM field, let's say, the prototype field, are the only cars that are double stinting, if not triple stinting, their tyres.
Exactly right, Joe. That's the way that the schedule is going. Interesting fact is, though, that the Toyotas, when they come in for those fuel-only stops, are spending more than a minute in the pit lane. Now, granted, they have to put more fuel in because they've got a bigger tank, but the way that the regulations have been designed is that the restrictor pipe is that little bit bigger, and so it should go in at the same pace. So the time spent in the pits for the Toyotas, just over a minute, and you'll be...
Come in the pits. Let's go to Joe Bradley.
Yeah, in from second place in the GT Pro class, Romain Dumas has brought the car in. There's no second driver or no teammate ready, so it looks like it's just going to be fuel. Yeah, they've got tyres, but whether the tyres are going to go on, so we've now even got the GT cars double stinting their tyres by the looks of things. Let's just wait and see when the fueling is done, whether or not they bring the tyres out. Usually they have the tyres ready. And in fact, no, so double stinting the tyres in the GT class.
And both Aston Martins have come in out of the lead, so we will get a bit of a shuffle in the GTE category, and that's a good time to bring in a guest, Jim Campbell, who is the U.S. Vice President for Performance Vehicles and Motorsports for Chevrolet. Welcome to Le Mans, Jim.
It is always a thrill to be here. We're so honored to be racing here with our Corvettes. It's just great to be here.
This year, it isn't quite as good as it has been in years past, but the guys haven't given up. They're working really hard. I talked to Feehan earlier in the week, and he says, man, we got smoke coming out of these computers trying to figure this thing out. So the boys haven't given up, and they're looking more competitive in race trim than they did in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, with the Corvette C5R and now the C6R, we've raced here the last 13 years and have won our respective Class 7 times. So we've got a pretty good track record.
Oh, yeah.
But we know every year it's so tough to win here, so tough. So it's going to take a lot of patience. The Ferraris, Aston Martins, Porsches are all fast. But our team is focused on delivering that right combination of performance, fuel economy, durability. Got to have great handling out there, great pit stops. Got to stay out of trouble, have a little bit of race luck, and we'll see what happens in 24 hours. You gotta wait for 24.
It's a long race. It's a long race. Now, how excited are you guys about the next step, the C7R?
Well, listen, earlier this year we introduced the new 2014 Corvette Stingray, an all-new Corvette. There's only 2 parts that are carryover from the C6, the 6th generation. And really, we learned so much from racing right here at Le Mans and other places where we race the Corvette around the world that really helped us develop the Corvette Stingray. And so, we just announced the latest performance stats, 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. 460 horsepower, lateral acceleration of 1.03, really sticky around the corners. Yeah. It's a performer, and we learned so much from racing, and we are working on the C7R, and we'll be racing the C7R next year.
How did the decision come about to go back to the name Stingray? For guys of a certain age like me, that's a great throwback.
Yeah, well, when you take a look at the styling of the car, the styling is not just about design, although it is beautiful. It's about that form and function really following one to the other. And so our engineers from our racing program, Taj Jukter, our chief engineer, and then our design engineer, Tom Peters and Kurt Benyon, they really work together to get the form and the function together. So everything's purposeful. The way we bring the air in the lower intake, we pull it out, an extractor off the hood. We do the same thing in racing. Reduces lift, improves downforce. Use of carbon fiber materials on the race car we pulled over to the production car. Lowers the mass, lowers the center of gravity, gets that weight distribution, 52 to the back, 48 to the front, just like the race car. So we're really pleased with what we have, and most of all,